A record 6 ducks in a batting innings. India's third worst start in a test match ever. 8 for 4 wickets. And 152 all out at tea on day one of a test match. There was a fight back. There was a fighting innings from the captain. But with England closing on India's innings, there's a lot left for India to do. And the batsmen will have to put their hands up. With camera person Kashif Siddiqui in Manchester, Shivani Gupta for Headlines Today. India staring down the barrel, just 152 runs on the board. England already closing on their first innings. Just what does this match have in store for India? Do they even have a chance in this one with the English batting lineup being in form and the English bowlers as well doing as well as they are? Will someone from the Indian bowling and Indian batting stand up? We put all of these questions and also the troubling form of Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli to Saurav Ganguly, former India captain, and also with my colleague Boria Majumdar. We are discussing not just the Indian combination in this match, but first up that innings from MS Dhoni after the top order failed. That was the innings that the captain needed to play.
Yeah, I thought he batted well, and it's a lesson for the top order as well, because you have to bat first, winning tosses in these conditions, and India did that in Lords as well, where they were forced to bat first. And when you lose 4 wickets for 8 runs, that's when the trouble starts. You have to accept the fact that when you come overseas, it's going to seam and bounce a bit early on. And I think that's where we probably are behind in this test match.
As far as the batting is concerned, the top order, 6 ducks in this inning. Yes, 2 came in the lower order, but India has managed a record even with that. We have to ask the question about Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli again. Virat getting out in a similar fashion as he has throughout the series. First up about him, Dada, what adjustment does he need to make?
Yeah, he's struggling for form, to be honest. Adjustment, we said that in the previous innings as well. He's just opening up a bit too early, which forces him to play deliveries outside the off stump. Today was a shot of a batsman who's lacking confidence. He was tentative, the face opening at the last minute. Moment the face opens in these conditions, it goes from the middle of the bat to the slip cordon. Murali Vijay got a brilliant delivery, but obviously Virat Kohli is an example of someone who's struggling. He's got to find a way to get runs. You can say a whole lot of things. It's not that he hasn't got runs in international cricket, but when you come to a place like this, when you're one of the premier batsmen, you cannot just keep failing 7-8 innings in a row.
Do you think, if I can ask you this, that in the second innings, will you get Ajinkya Rahane at 4 and Virat at 5? You did that with Sachin in Australia. You batted 4, pushed Sachin to 5.
Yeah, there is a possibility, yes, if he isn't scoring runs. Take him away from the new ball, because at the present moment the openers are struggling, so they're exposed to the new ball very, very quickly. And when number 3, number 4 are exposed to the new ball and they're out of form, so it makes life even difficult. So it's a good option, as Boria says. Push Ajinkya Rahane even at 3.
Yeah.
Even Ajinkya Rahane even at 3, put Pujara bat at 4 and Virat Kohli at 5, and then Dhoni comes at 6. So that's a good option to do.
The trouble is that Cheteshwar Pujara is really the number 3 that we thought we have after Rahul Dravid. He's the number 3, not just in making anymore. He's proved himself a little bit. If Pujara doesn't fire, this Indian batting lineup, if Pujara and Kohli don't fire, looks very different suddenly, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Any batting lineup, when you have your top 3 are not performing, any batting lineup in the world will not look good. It's already the 4th test of the series, so it's not the early part that you're going to bring changes and bring in new players. So they'll have to find out a way to get runs. And I think with the openers not performing, and I keep saying even when I was captain that opening is the most important job in test cricket, especially overseas. Sehwag did that superbly for India. Wasim Jafar did at times. Akash Chopra did for India in Australia and England, where it was difficult. So it's a very important position, and obviously India are struggling there, and that's putting pressure on 3.
But Dada, given the situation being what it is, Murali Vijay was in form. Suddenly is getting, is being shown up a little bit at the top of the order. Gautam Gambhir has just come in. We've made a decision to leave Shikhar out, at least for the next 2 test matches. Cheteshwar isn't working. Kohli isn't working very well. Does India look like they can get back in this series? That's the question now. We have 2 test matches, already 1 innings gone, 3 to go. Just 3 to go to make an impact.
Let's not think about the next test, it's a bit too far. But when you get out for 150, in a test match on day one, it's a hard struggle. England have almost closed into India's total. The ball's going to get old. We are not a bowling attack which is out and out pace. It's not a Jimmy Anderson or Broad bowling high 140s and he's still swinging with the old ball. So it's going to be hard work. I thought Dhoni was absolutely spot on with the way he's got about his team and bowling attack, 5 bowlers. So he's been absolutely fine. But then you have to deliver. You have to deliver as a bowling unit, and it's going to be an uphill battle for India. This test match, oval is still a long way, so let's finish this one first and then we'll think about the oval.
Let's talk about that one moment in the match that visually was very exciting. Jimmy Anderson getting Ravi Jadeja the same way he got him in the third test. Exactly, almost identical decision.
He was exceptional today. He set up Ravindra Jadeja actually. It's the previous 3 deliveries before that, which went away from the left hander and then he brought back one into the left hander. So he's a class act, and you know, I've seen him in 2003. That's when he first played him in 2007. Saw him in 2011 as well, but the Jimmy Anderson in 2014 is a super bowler for England. Every time he comes on to bowl, he looks like picking a wicket. He knows exactly what's happening, and just 10 wickets away from being England's highest wicket taker.
Repeat mistakes, Saurav, that's what hurts the most, isn't it? Not when you get out of a very good ball, not if you you made one mistake in one test match, but this is turning out to be repeated mistakes for India. Jadeja is one, Kohli is one, Pujara not getting on as well.
See, with Kohli and Pujara, I'm not worried because they're quality players. I'm worried about their form, but I'm not worried about the quality. But with someone like Jadeja, if he keeps swinging in Test cricket, he will not be consistent. I think Ravichandran Ashwin is becoming a better Test batsman than Ravindra Jadeja at this stage. He applies, he knows his game. He got a very good 40 today as well. He threw it away at the end, but he consistently keeps scoring runs in Test level. So if Jadeja, who's more of a batsman who can bowl, and Ravichandran Ashwin is more of a bowler who can bat, so Jadeja needs to back himself with the bat a bit more. At the present moment, he's not doing that. And if you keep swinging, you'll score 1 out of 10 innings, and that's what you're not required at number 7. Now you got to be a lot more consistent, and especially if Dhoni wants to play 5 bowlers, he's got the luxury of him being a batsman, Jadeja being a batsman, Ashwin contributing, and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. So he's got the luxury of 4 who can be one batsman for him. So if he's got that, but if your other players are not contributing, then it's become difficult. I think the balance of the Indian team is fine. The balance which they've gone about is absolutely fine. It's just that the execution hasn't been good.
Saurav, I'll put it in a more blunt way. Is this test match out of India's hands?
Not yet, it's still 4 days cricket left. Cricket, anything is possible.
But you're expecting it to get over in 3 days?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's still 4 days of cricket left. It's never over till it's actually over in cricket. But as I said, India will have to do something spectacular. Maybe the time for Pujara and Kohli to get a big 100, 150, maybe England chasing 300 in the last innings, day 4, day 5. It could be India's game. And I've seen things happen in sport. But as I said, they'll have to play out of the box to do that.
You heard what Saurav Ganguly, former India captain, had to say. Now I have former England captain Nasir Hussain with me. Nasir, 8 for 4, India's third worst start. Then 152 all out, and England already 113 for 3. It doesn't look very good for India, does it?
No, a really bad day for India, and in fact it ended up to be a good toss to lose. I'm sure Alistair Cook would have batted first. You look down at the pitch, it said bat. You look up at the skies, you may have been bowling first, but that was a huge risk. I don't think you can blame Dhoni with the toss, really. I think everything's said towards batting. They just didn't bat as well as they did when they played against England at Lords on that green top. They were a bit flirty outside the off stump. I didn't agree with the change to Gautam Gambhir. I have to say, too many changes, 3 changes when you've lost 1 test match. I mean, look how England reacted, just 1 change and then won the test match. And they were always under pressure after that, after being 8 for 4.
The one change though, would you agree with bringing in Ashwin and going back to the 5 bowler thing? And in fact, he was one of the only lower order batsmen who gave England any resistance, scored a brilliant 40 today, gave his wicket away in the end. But you didn't agree with, making Shikhar Dhawan sit out. But what about the 2 bowling changes?
Well, listen, I'm not bothered whether it's Dhawan or Rohit Sharma or whatever. It's pretty simple, and I think India are overcomplicating it a little bit. Pick your best batsmen and your best bowlers. Jadeja, for me, doesn't quite fit into either of those categories. I like him, he's quite a tough cricketer, and he could end up a test match cricketer. But is he one of your best batsmen? I don't think so. I think Rohit Sharma's a better batsman. I think Dhawan's a better batsman. Is he one of your best bowlers? No, I think R. Ashwin is a better bowler, as we saw this evening. He bowled pretty nicely. So I think they're getting confused by Jadeja a little bit. So personally, I would play your best 6 batsmen, whoever they are, Dhoni at 7, and your best 4 bowlers. I think that's India's best formula at home and away.
Well, you're talking about Shikhar Dhawan perhaps getting a right deal from MS Dhoni, but now he has a bigger problem with Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli yet again for the 7th innings not, get going. There are no options, isn't it, to make any changes?
No, but that's the great thing about a 5 test match series. In a 3 test match series, you can come in, have a bad series and go quickly and then go and get runs against someone else. 5 test match series, people keep coming at you time after time. If Anderson keeps getting Jadeja, he has to front up again until he gets dropped. You have to Virat Kohli, he's not going to get dropped, is he, Virat Kohli? So he's going to have to come back again and face the music again. Same with the England batsman. Moeen Ali is going to get some bounces when he comes out to bat. Sam Robson. That is why I love 5 test match series. There's no getting away from it, especially as a batsman.
Let's talk a little bit about Virat Kohli. He's putting in a lot of effort at the nets, as we've seen, especially since the first test match. He's not really terribly out of form, as we keep talking about it. When the bat hits the ball, it's actually quite sweet. What's going wrong with him? Is there a doubt in his mind? He doesn't quite know which ones to leave, which ones to go forward for?
Yeah, I think after getting bowled out, leaving the ball at Lords, he's lost his off stump. He doesn't know quite where it is. But I also think he has got a technical issue. And in England, if you have any kind of technical issue and the skills of Anderson and Broad, you will be found out. He is a little bit chest on. You know, cricket is a sideways on game. You look at Rahane defend, and Rahani's very sideways on. Virat opens that front foot up, he turns his chest on, and then all he can do then is poke his hands at the ball. So this area, the corridor of uncertainty that Geoffrey Boycott would talk about, there's a lot of edges going to that slip cordon. He needs to tighten up.
Yes, lots of work for him and Pujara. But what's hurting India a lot is the fact, as Nasser has also talked about, same mistakes happening over and over, and they're getting exploited by the English bowlers. For someone of the class of Pujara and Virat Kohli, you know, as good as batsmen they are you surprised that they haven't really made the adjustments so far?
No, it's not easy. Look at Alistair Cook. He's trying to make adjustments of getting on the front foot. Look at Sam Robson getting out in the same sort of areas time after time. In a test series, especially when there's no games in between, I think that's been a problem for India. There's no now go off to a county where Virat can smash 100 and feel in form. All his practice is coming from either the nets or batting in the middle, which is not ideal. So India may need to look at their schedule for future tours away from home where they have games in between. So if someone does get out of form, then they can go and find some form. In the old days, you know, Saurav and Rahul used to come off to Chelmsford and smash us for 100 there and be in good form, etc. So very difficult for the modern test. And it's not just India. England went through the same thing in Australia. Once you get on a downward spiral, it's very difficult to get out of that when you're away from home.
But what a day again it's turned out to be for England. Now 6 days in a row, Nasser, England's been on top. Has the momentum completely shifted, and are India out of this one at least?
No, I'm not a big believer in momentum. Look what happened after Lords. Everyone would say India had the momentum and then England get it back at the Ageas Bowl. But then to go into today and, as you say, have 6 bad days, then you're going to have to do something special to drag that back. They're going to need to bowl India, England out for, less than 250. And then they're in the game. But, England have got a long batting lineup and they'll have to bowl well. I was quite impressed with Varun Aaron tonight. I thought all the Indian bowlers bowled okay. I'm still worried about the slip cordon. I think first slip is standing far too deep. Another catch fell short of first slip today.
And Dhoni doesn't go for any of these.
No, he doesn't, which is fine. If Dhoni's not going to go for him, then he's got to move first slip up. Before, in the last games, it was Dhawan, and today, what was it, Murali Vijay they've got in there. So if he's not going to go, he's got to come up. So those sort of areas are little bits that India need to keep an eye on.
Before we talk about the English bowling, of course, Anderson, Broad with the 6 wickets, but Anderson really, again, the star, and just 10 wickets away from Ian Botham now as the best English bowler ever. The knock from Dhoni, we talked about this, he's a fighting cricketer, maybe not the most technically gifted, but when he knows his limitations, I think he plays even better.
Absolutely, he's a street fighter. Definitely, and a man for a crisis, and he's a clever cricketer as well. I mean, we in England are brought up, if the ball's swinging around like that, you play late, you don't play any big booming drives. Dhoni saw it completely different. He was charging down the pitch, play early, play big booming drives, and when it was short, English players would hit it, he just lets it hit him. It's remarkable, really. But he's a very streetwise cricketer and a man for a crisis. I mean, on that pitch, you'd say England quite happy to see him come in at number 6 rather than number 7. But he showed he can bat at number 6 in conditions like that. That was an awesome knock from the Indian captain. One
of the suggestions that were made on headlines today earlier, Saurav was here as well. He talked about how about shuffling the order a little bit. get Ajinkya Rahane up, maybe leave Pujara or maybe at least Virat down, with no bench strength really to bring in another batsman. Do you think that would be a good idea?
Too many changes.
Not even
India have had one bad game. All right, at the Ageas Bowl. Don't over-change and over-complicate.
These two haven't scored runs for 3 test matches.
Yeah, I know, but 3 test matches for you who have to do headlines today every day, 3 test matches is a long time. When you're Sachin Tendulkar and played 100 and whatever test matches, it's just a couple of weeks. So what they've got to be, instead of moving them round and protecting them, they've got to be mentally strong now. You know, all they've seen in their career are runs. Pujara, Kohli, they've had the good times. Now they've got to have to learn to cope with the bad times. We've all been through it. It's part of being an international cricketer. Even the great Rahul Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar, Sourav Ganguly, all have been through bad times. And actually, it's the bad times that shows your character and makes you a better cricketer and a better person. So now Virat and Pujara and all these guys have got to go out second innings and show that they can get runs when they're not playing as well as they would like to play.
2 of English batsmen have had a revival of sorts, Alistair Cook and also Ian Bell. We have to wait and see if these two, Pujara and Virat, are going to manage to do it in this series as well. But a little gem earlier from Nasir Hussain while on commentary, Jadeja woo. Exactly the same decision for him against Anderson. And well, the result was...
Well, my one funny for the year. I'm glad you picked up on my one funny. Jadeja vu all over again. I mean, that was a brilliant setup, especially with what's happened off the field between Anderson and Jadeja. All the Indian fans were cheering Jadeja when he came out to bat. All the England fans were booing him. And then Anderson went outswing, and then the perfect in-swing. I can't tell you, how difficult it is to bowl that, because you just lose it, you'll go mile down the leg side. And also Jadeja, how difficult it is to face that, because you're trying to get across, and then the big in-swinger. I wouldn't blame Jadeja, I would just say brilliant bowling, Jimmy Anderson.
And that reaction from Jimmy Anderson said quite a bit, isn't it? Good, it wasn't directed towards Jadeja or to anyone else, but what he must have felt, isn't it?
Sometimes actions speak louder than words, and I think Jimmy Anderson's actions today said more than anything. Listen, I'm of the opinion I always like a little bit of chit-chat on the field. Where are all these people now that are complaining? Where were they when Warne and Hayden and Langer and Dennis Lilly and Merv Hughes were all sledging? It's been part of the game over the years. Physical contact has never been part of the game. I like a bit of chit-chat on the field, but the most important thing is runs, wickets, wins, losses. And at the moment, I'm afraid, Indian fans, Jimmy Anderson's winning the battle on the field, and one of these Indian batsmen has to stop him doing that.
Absolutely. Certainly winning the battle against Ravi Jadeja as well. But Jimmy Anderson, just 10 wickets away from the mark of Ian Botham. I mean, where would you place him? I mean, I know the statistics where they place him, but everyone's beginning to feel that, you know, he's becoming a great for English cricket.
Yep, he is a great. He will go past both them. He's absolutely brilliant. You could argue between him and Steyn at the moment. I think Anderson is a better bowler to left-handers than Steyn. You'd say Steyn might just win it on right-handers. I'm very fortunate that I was captain when he first came in the side. A Burnley lad, used to play cricket around here at Burnley. And he was raw, and you could see back then that this was a special talent. The key thing for him is that he stayed fit. He's still fit. I mean, Broad's a little bit struggling with his knee. He's going to need operations. But Jimmy Anderson bowls long spells, and he'll carry on bowling for a long time.
Is this the best you've seen from him? Is he at the peak of his powers right now?
Yeah, I think a few months ago he was trying to bowl a little bit too quick after what happened in Australia. I think he's gone back a little bit to the Jimmy Anderson of old, where he's just relying on pitching it up and swinging the ball. He has been helped by the fact the last 2 games the ball has swung. England had the best of the overhead conditions today. When it was cloudy, it seemed to do it quicker. This afternoon when the sun came out, it didn't quite do it as quick. So, but when it's like that, there's no better bowler in the world.
Let's talk about India once again. Final comments from Nasir Hussain. Will the match, Nasir, last long enough for the Indian spinners to come into play? The weather forecast is not very good for this one. How do you reckon India needs to play this one from here on?
Well, I saw the weather forecast and I thought this game might end up being a draw, but not if you're 8 for 4 in the first half hour. You're not going to get a draw from that position. So India are going to have to bat really well. No point having 2 spinners if you get 150 on the board and Ashwin's bowling after tea on the first day. They're not going to bowl enough overs. So I think all eyes are going to have to be A, bowl England out cheaply tomorrow, and B, this much talked about Indian batting lineup. finally has to deliver, really, and get big runs. You know, hopefully the sun will shine at some stage, get big runs, and then give the spinners something to bowl on the fourth, fifth day.
Yes, lots of batting for India to do, lots of good bowling for India to do as well. They still need to get 7 wickets from the English first innings. Nasser Hussain, thanks a lot for joining us. He'll keep joining us throughout the Grudge series. Keep watching Headlines today. We'll keep getting you the latest with Saurav Ganguly, with Nasser Hussain. For the meantime, with camera person Kashif Siddiqui, it's a wrap-up here in Manchester. Let's hope there'll be better days for India going ahead. Goodbye for now.